everybody, and welcome back to Art a la Carte, and the next addition to our what was formerly known as Choose Your Own Adventure story. But for those of you who remember from last week, that was our final video where you could vote for what was going to happen to the characters. From here on in, I'm just going to be telling you the story. So if you haven't seen last week's video or any of the videos, might I highly recommend that you go and click on the link that I'll have in the description box below. That will take you to the playlist where you can watch this series from the very beginning, hear the entire story up till now, so that you can be ready for the grand finale. So without further ado, let's get into the story. Amelia and Willow rushed down the tunnel towards the surface. All around them they could hear the sounds of battle, the booming of trees, the muffled crowing of the Crow King's army. And Amelia knew that the odds of her succeeding in this were not great. But she was ready. She was ready to stop hiding and running from her problems. She wanted to fight, to protect her family, her friends. Knox had agreed to run ahead and find help, and Amelia had to wonder, would his help come in the form of other cave diggers, or the rocks themselves? Soon the girls reached the entrance of the cave, and the cool night air felt so good to Amelia's face. But there was no time to rest and enjoy it. They hurried towards the sounds of battle, every step causing Amelia's heart to pound in fear. When they broke through the circle of trees, they were not prepared for what they saw. The sky was filled with crows everywhere. Amelia watched as trees moved their branches on their own, swinging at the birds above them, the dryads on the ground fighting as best they could. And then Amelia saw Knox, his hands full of rocks, chucking them wildly at the sky, and surprisingly he had very good aim. It might have been enough if the skies had not been so black with birds. There were so many crows. How many people had been transformed by the Crow King to create such a vast army? How would they ever win? And through the battle, Amelia recognized one figure standing out. "That's him! It's the Crow King right there!" she pointed. Willow and Amelia began to rush towards him. "Willow, you distract him, while I get the heart of the tree out of his hands." Amelia knew the plan was going to be a lot harder than it sounded, but there really wasn't time to come up with a better idea. So the girls rushed forward. They were halfway across the circle of trees when Amelia saw Dahlia rushing towards them. "What are you doing here?" "Willow, I told you to take Amelia deep into the forest. She can't stay here." "I want to help," Amelia said. "If you get any closer to the great tree, there is no chance for you to ever turn back into a human child again, and you will forever be a dryad." But then suddenly Amelia looked up and saw the Crow King flying towards them. He hit them with such a force it threw them back. Amelia fell back against something hard. It almost knocked the wind out of her. Slowly she began to fall forward on her knees, when she saw a branch entwine itself around her, steadying her, holding her. It was the great tree. She looked up into the tree's branches. They began to move and extend, as all the other trees were doing. They moved around to protect her and hold her. Suddenly, two of the branches shot out in front of her, and Amelia looked up to see the Crow King rushing towards her, his clutching fists outstretched towards her. But the tree's branches encircled him, entrapping him, stopping him mere inches from her face. And that's when she saw it. A flash of green, clutched in his hand. The heart of the tree, she thought. Slowly she reached her hand out to the Crow King's clutched fist, and to her surprise, as her hand got closer to his, he loosened his grasp and dropped the green gem into her hand. The moment the jewel left the Crow King's hand, he began to transform, to change. Amelia realized she had seen this same transformation once before, only in reverse, in the tree's memories. When the crow had first taken the heart of the tree, he had transformed into the hideous Crow King. But now that he no longer had the jewel, he once again transformed into the simple crow, to his original form.
"Sweet child, do not hold the crimes of this crow against him. His only thought was to save me, for he knew I was dying. A tree without a dryad cannot survive. His only thought was to return my heart to your mother, in hopes that she could save me. But the sweet gentle bird could not control the power. It corrupted him into the monster that you saw, but you have saved him."
"But what about you? You're not going to die, are you?" Amelia asked, tears brimming in her eyes.
"It is all right, dear child. I will free you, just as I freed your mother. You shall not be bound to me."
Amelia saw the branches around her begin to glow, and she felt the powerful connection between her and the tree begin to diminish. She knew the tree was changing her back, making her human again. But if she were to become human, the tree would die. "Wait," she said. "You let my mother choose what she wanted. Let me choose what I want." And that is where I'm going to leave off today's story. As you guys can see, it's set up so beautifully for a vote. Does Amelia choose to be a human? Does Amelia choose to remain a dryad? And I really kind of debated letting you guys have this one last vote, but then I realized I couldn't do that. Over the last couple of episodes, Amelia's character for me has grown so strong that I knew her story could only go one way. So in the end, I decided to let her choose the final vote. And next week, you guys will get to hear the final conclusion, the very last chapter of the story. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on that video. The week after that, I'm going to be having a live stream, which we're going to go through the whole story and answer bunches of questions that you guys have and talk about different options that would have happened in the story. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. So until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you in another video. Bye-bye!